All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Week 15 in the NFL. We got the Sunday slate to dive into in today's video, with the exception of Sunday Night Football. That will be its own video here on the channel, but all of the other Sunday games we're going to dive into in today's video. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, keep an eye down on the pinned comment for all of my final plays, so that I'm actually rolling with myself. Take you to the Guy Boston Sports site, absolutely free down there. So make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment. In terms of how we're doing this week so far, well, we had a profitable week 14, right? But Thursday Night Football treated us well as well. We loved the under. We also loved Cooper Kupp's first quarter under in receiving yards. Yeah, that wasn't the best game for him overall, I will say. Our only losses were the plus money parlay, and then Deebo Samuel. We backed a guy in his low spot, and he stayed down there. I thought that he might rise above and be like all this adversity and whatnot, this talk and stuff. Yeah, Deebo, not the best night for him. But those are only quarter unit losses. Our bigger plays, we did end up cashing. So you know what? We'll take the damn cha-ching there. But what do you say we dive into this slate? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This video is posted on the main channel. We have not been posting pick content on here in a while, but very, very excited to jump back into it. All the BS and obstacles we had to go through, and you guys supported the main channel, all that. I do appreciate that, but that should be in the past now, right? Should be in the past. So we're back here on the 100,000+ subscribed to channel, and I'm very, very, very pumped for that. So yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment your favorite plays down below. Let's get this channel back up and running. Let's start it off with this game here. We got the Texans taking on the Dolphins right now. Texans 3-point favorites. This total sitting at 47. I probably like a player prop the most in this game, to be completely honest, but let's dive into the spread and the total side of things. I do think that this is a Miami attack in terms of offense that has started to look really good. Last 2 weeks, 325 passing yards per game. They're also passing it more frequently than anyone, so they've been doing really well. But defensively, Houston has struggled against the pass, and the teams that they've played, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Dallas, like, they're letting these teams pass on them, and think about the quarterbacks we're talking about in that situation, right? So I do think Tua has a good game here and probably elevates this Miami team to some degree. When you look at obviously the playoff chances and whatnot, you do have Miami, who's still kind of, I guess you could say, on the bubble. If they win this one, I think they have like a 30-something% chance of making the playoffs. If they lose, they're essentially not making the playoffs. So yeah, they probably care about this one more than the Texans do, because the Texans should, even if they lose, they still have a really strong chance of making the playoffs. So give me Miami plus the 3 points. I also don't mind Miami team total over. Again, this Texans defense is good, and I understand that they've been inconsistent, but they are good, but they have not really been all that great against the pass as of late. And if you're going to be the Dolphins, or you're going to be playing the Dolphins, you don't want to be bad against the pass, right? They should be able to throw the ball a ton. So yeah, give me Miami. Also a Miami team total over, and I guess I slightly lean towards, an over in this game overall, because I'm not going to sit here and say that, the Miami defense has been a world-beating defense, right? No, Texans are still very good. They should put up points too. So give me the over. Keep an eye always on the final plays, see what we roll with ourselves. Now, in terms of what I want to look at from a player prop perspective, we'll jump into the Outlier screen, guys. Down below, link to Outlier, 7-day free trial. I like Dalton Schultz here, over 3.5 receptions. I also don't mind his receiving yards. This is a Miami team that has struggled against the tight end position. You can see right there. Overall, yes, they're on the season 10th fewest receiving yards allowed, which is like, okay, that's a pretty good defense, right? You flip it over to the tight end, all of a sudden that drops into the lower third of the league. You can see he's hit his receiving yards in 4 of his last 6 weeks. When you filter it to home games, look at that on the season, 4 of 6, you know what I mean, like overall. But I do like the idea of his receptions, because you're getting plus money. So that plus 116, plus 115, whatever you can get it at, definitely looks good as well. So I like Dalton Schultz in the spot. Again, it's a weak spot for this Miami defense. We targeted Tyler Conklin last week, and he caught 3 balls for us, which was a plus 126. I think I like the spot again. This is not a very good Miami defense against tight end. So that could be a player prop spot we look at. And like I mentioned, I might like that more than anything else we talked about in this spot. So yeah, keep an eye on the final plays to see if we do roll with Schultz. All right, next game up, we got the Saints taking on the Commanders here. Commanders 7.5-point favorites on the road. This total's down there at 43.5. This is obviously a very, very good Commanders offense, right? Even against, they've only had a couple duds this year. So overall, very, very, very good offense, right? New Orleans, you can't really say the same about. The defense has looked, I guess you could say, okay recently, but that was against Cleveland. LA did put up over 20 points, and they played New York as well. They played Carolina. They haven't necessarily been tested in a little while. I guess the one time that they have been tested was the Rams, and the Rams beat them by 7, right? So it's like, obviously, and that was, honestly, they looked good in the first quarter, but that was more so the Rams looking bad than the Saints looking good if we were to split hairs. But either way, this has not been the most tested team as of late, and the quarterback situation, Derek Carr listed as doubtful. All signs point to a Commanders play here. Now, 7 points is probably where I'd go, buying a half point. I think I saw Tassos do that in his video as well. 7.5, you just never really want that number in football, right? So yeah, I would look at maybe buying a point or buying a half point, getting that to 7 if you were to roll with this. I think where I'd go, much like I said about this Miami team, right? And the team total, I think I might go to a Commanders team total over before I look at that spot of the 7 points. You can get them over 24.5 right now at -122 over on DK. Like, I might like that more than the 7.5 because they can go out there and obviously score, say, 25 points, that type of thing, right? 27 points. And what if the Saints score 21? They won. They scored a lot of points, but the Saints still cover. That doesn't sit right with me. So I might look at a team total over for the Commanders more than anything here. And that's kind of the hybrid of the total as well, because I think this is a team, the Commanders, that have a good offense, and then the Saints who should not play all that well. So I don't want to touch that 43.5. I'd rather, because I don't think the Saints not that Washington has an amazing defense. I just don't trust the Saints offense. So I think the only way to even touch a total would be the team total on the Washington side of things. So yeah, give me Washington, but also kind of hybridizing. We love that word. The total as well as the spread kind of mixes into a point of the team total over being the move here, I guess, in a sense. So if we do touch this one, it's probably team total over. Real quick, guys, before we do continue on with the slate, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. The Sleeper Picks app is awesome, and they have an amazing promo going on right now. Play $5, get $55 back in free plays there. I think they give you 11 $5 bets, which is absolutely cool in terms of free rolls, right? So go ahead and check out that app. You're also going to get a Jordan Love 0.5 passing yard square, so a freebie on top of that as well. That link's going to be in the description as well as the pinned comment. I've used Sleeper for like 2 years now. It's one of my favorite apps out there. If you guys don't know what it is a DFS app in which you pick more or less based on player set projections. You put those into an entry. The more you win, the more you get paid out. And speaking of the payout, it's really cool because Sleeper is fairly unique in the sense that they don't follow a fixed payout structure. 2 for 2 is 3x, that type of thing. No. Each and every play you throw into your entry and your slip will change the payout dynamically. So it's really, really cool with the multipliers. Go check it out, guys. Play 5, get 55. All that will be in the description as well as the pinned comment. Just use the link and you're going to get all of that automatically applied and this Jordan Love free square. Go ahead and check it out. All right, this should be a messy one here, I guess. Jaguars taking on the Jets. I do have a play that I like in this spot. I talked about it on H2H with Tassos. I don't mind the idea of Jets team total over. I think that this is, yes, both teams are eliminated. This game shouldn't matter. I guess the Jags, in a sense, are happy that the season's almost over for them. The Jets probably not all that happy because they're kind of just kicking themselves for how things have gone, right? But overall, I don't see how the Jags defense stops the Jets in a sense. I don't think this is going to be a massively high-scoring game or anything like that, but I think that the Jets can get you to 21 points. They've cashed that in 3 straight weeks in 5 of their last 6, and this is a really bad secondary for Jacksonville. So my main play here, I know we've been throwing a lot of team totals at you, which I just realized that now 3 games in, but I do like the Jets team total over. I don't mind them -3.5. I think that they're the better team, and I think that they have a little bit more, like, I guess, I don't know, it's hearsay, hypothetical, but like more pride to play for, you know what I mean? Like Aaron Rodgers, they fired their coach, their head coach, the GM, like, obviously they have a lot more sort of like egg on their face this season, so they might try and go out on the season hot if Aaron Rodgers plays. But overall, yeah, if all that kind of goes according to plan, I think that they try and play some good football, and this isn't a good defense on the Jacksonville side of things. So yeah, I'll take the team total over. Jacksonville's defense looked good last week. That was against Tennessee. Prior to that, 23 points allowed to Houston, 50-something allowed to Detroit, right? And then on the Jets side of things, like I said, they've been cashing this one 5 of the last 6 weeks, 26, 21, 27, 6 or 8, what was it? Yeah, 6 against the Cardinals, right? 21, 22, and I guess that's the 6. So there you go. Like, I think the Jets are just on track to probably put up at least 3 touchdowns if they do play all of their guys in that type of thing. If they don't, yeah, no kidding, this thing could smack in their face. But give me the Jets minus points, but again, not to keep playing the same record here, but I like another team total over for the Jets. In terms of player props in this spot, I don't really mind anyone kind of in the pass-catching game. Are their lines going to be a little inflated based on what I think they could do? Sure, but I'm also on the Jets team total over mindset. So, yeah, anyone in the passing game I do think could be pretty damn good for the Jets because, again, I'm kind of targeting this secondary for Jacksonville, which this season they've allowed 263.5 passing yards per game. They've only been passed on the 12th most times. So they're not even that high in terms of pass on. Their passing yards per game would state otherwise. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they're not getting thrown on an incredible amount, yet they're still just terrible. Like last 3 weeks, the 7th fewest pass rate against them, 7th lowest, I should say, pass rate against them, the 5th most yards against. It's pretty damning stuff on the secondary side of things. So anyone pass catching for the Jets, I do think is a viable option. All right, Panthers taking on the Cowboys, and you see that right. The Panthers are favored in this one, which is just ridiculous, right? And it does make sense. I'm not saying that, but it's just ridiculous to see a minus number next to the Panthers. -2.5 here. Total's at 43. I do think this is going to be a spot where people jump on the Panthers, and it's like, wow, they've been playing so much better and all that, which they honestly have, and Bryce Young has looked good, but I think that's the exact time where you look at this and you go, okay, well, they're still the Panthers, right? So, yeah, they've covered 5 straight games. They're 2-3, which is like good for them, right? That's 66% of their losses have come in the last 5 weeks. They've hung in there with some good teams, Kansas City, Philadelphia. I get all that, right? Dallas, though, you know, this is a beaten and bruised Dallas team. They're terrible. I just feel like so many people are going to be on the Panthers side of things. And how could you ever trust the Panthers as favorites? You know what I mean? Like, yes, this Dallas team is clearly, well, they're probably sitting there being like, what are we doing? What do we play for? And all that type of stuff. Both teams, like, you're not technically eliminated, but neither team's making the playoffs, right? I think they have like a less than 1% chance, even if they win or lose. They're just not mathematically eliminated yet. Neither team has more to play for. Again, kind of to take it back to the pride thing, like we mentioned with the Jets. I think the Cowboys may have more pride on the line. They have the Dak extension, which obviously is not playing, the CD. Like, there's a lot of, what's going on with this Cowboys team? Playing a Panthers team should be a game in which they say, hey, okay, this is a bad team. Let's get up and do it. So, is it worth the psycho alert alarm? I'm not sure, but I'm going to lean Dallas plus the points here, maybe on the money line. I think that this Panthers run, albeit it's cool and it's fun to watch, Bryce Young kind of looking like, oh yeah, that's why he was a top pick and stuff. I do think to some degree they fall flat here. If you're on the Panthers, don't let me talk you off of it. This is a garbage game in general, so yeah, I'm just thinking the contrarian mindset in the room, not necessarily I love the Cowboys. I'm just kind of fading the Panthers because everyone's going to be buying them. I feel like you got in late, you know what I mean? So give me the Cowboys. Total-wise, I don't really have any strong feeling in this one. Maybe an over because I don't think either defense is all that spectacular. But then again, are the offenses good? Not so much. So I'll lean towards an over because I think that this could be a game in which, we do see some breakout plays in from wide receivers or Bryce Young looks good on his end. You know what I mean? So sure, but you can tell by my voice, right? This isn't my favorite spot on the board. I also don't mind the idea of if Jake Ferguson gets the go, right? Is he going to be playing? I believe so. I know he burned us a couple weeks ago in Monday night or Thursday night, but I don't mind him. This has been a really soft defense to the tight end position in Carolina. So yeah, Jake Ferguson out here, I think that we could see some decent play from him. Plus 140 right now for over 4.5 receptions. Yes, he's burned us. He against Cincinnati only had 3. We took him over 4.5 again, but for that plus 136, I still see the value, as crazy as I might sound. Next up, we have the Giants taking on the Ravens. I don't really like touching anything in this one. That is a massive, massive spread. I do understand, obviously, why, well, for multiple reasons, right? Why we do see the Ravens as big favorites, but they're going to be a playoff team, even though they do have the surprising record. I think Tassis and I talked about it on H2H, like 8-5. You think of the Ravens as more of a regard, like they've done better than that this year, but yeah, 5 losses, right? This Giants team doesn't care about much, so that's kind of what worries me. I do think that the Ravens topple it on. I know Tassis is big on the Ravens team total this week. I don't hate that. I just don't see a way to really comfortably look at this game. The total's at 42.5. Yeah, again, like if I were to do that, maybe I would just ride with Tassos and look at the team total over. I don't think that I love it either way. Maybe a Giants team total under could be the play, kind of flipping it on its script here. We don't need points from the Ravens. We just want that defense to kind of step up, which there has been times where they've stepped up. I mean, they've been really good as of late, right? 21.7 points per game. I don't think the Giants get there. Second fewest passing yards, kind of in the middle of the pack for rushing. They're really, really good at stopping teams in the red zone, which offensively has been a struggle for the Giants all year long. So maybe a Giants team total under. I just don't know if we're going to get a good number. So that would be a lean here. And then in terms of player prop, well, first and foremost, we do expect a lot of passing if this is a passing on the Giants side of things, if this is a 16.5 point spread, right? And then secondarily, this is a Ravens team that 2 wide receiver ones this year in terms of DVOA adjusted defense, right? So versus the position. I know it's a mouthful, but DVOA adjusted defense versus the position, 39% production increase, 2 wide receiver ones. Malik Nabers could be calling your name here. Over 5.5 receptions is something that I like here. 8 of his last 11 games he's hit. And like I mentioned, this is a Baltimore team that does struggle against wide receiver ones. Malik Nabers, definitely a wide receiver one. His yards is at 64.5. I don't mind that. The Ravens have allowed the third most wide receiver yards against so far this season, but the receptions, I think that he's going to just, like, who else are you throwing to? You know what I mean? Like, he's getting 12 targets a game, so I might like the receptions more than the yards, but maybe both of those. Like, if I were to play this game, it's probably either taking a peek at Malik Neighbors or if we can get a good number on the Giants team total under, but I think I might like Neighbors more than anything. Yeah, and here's some of the data for his over receptions, right? 5.5 receptions. You can see 8 of his last 11. There's the numbers against the Baltimore defense, and here is his target share. Like, that is absolutely crazy. He's getting 30% of the team targets, which right here, 29. Like, no one's even close to him. Like, even Wan'Dale Robinson at 102, he's 25 freaking targets behind Malik Neighbors. He's getting the ball and really no one else. So I do like that spot if they are losing by a lot based on the spread, and they have to throw the ball a lot. All right, next up here, we have the Browns taking on Kansas City. Before we do that, guys, if you have made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 16. We're about to hit the 16-minute mark. I do appreciate you spending your time watching this video with me, listening to this dumb brain and dumb voice and all that. Do totally appreciate it. So comment 16 if you made it this far into the video. But let's go ahead and dive into this one. Browns taking on the Chiefs. The spread's a little weird, right? We can admit that. This Kansas City team obviously having a very good year. They've been terrible against the number, so it's a little interesting that, you know, again, way better team, but I guess it's a weird spread, but it makes sense because Kansas City hasn't covered. To me, though, this is going to be a spot where I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, Kansas City doesn't cover, and they're terrible at covering, and it's like, and then they just stomp the Browns, you know what I mean? So I think I lean towards the favorite Kansas City in this spot, which as we go through these games, guys, I'm liking a lot of favorites, which isn't always the best. I know I like Dallas as an underdog, but a lot of other favorites on the board, but we're trying to put these in a vacuum, not trying to think about that. But either way, I think a lot of people will be like, oh, this is a fishy line and all that, and then the Chiefs just do what they do, and one, they win the game, sure, but secondarily, it's like they just shock people when they doubted them in that type of sense. So give me the Chiefs minus the 4.5. I think I've seen some 4s out there, so even with that, you might be able to pay more juice and get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime, but you get a better number, right? So that could be something that we consider there. In terms of a total, it's at 43. I wouldn't mind, yes, to bring up my favorite vocab word or phrase so far this video, team total in terms of this spot. I don't mind a Browns team total under. Have I given a team total play either over or under in every game so far this week? I might have. But either way, you can get them under 20.5 right now for -135 over on FD, under 21.5 for -160 on FanDuel as well. Like, that could be the play. I think this Chiefs defense is obviously very good. We've seen them struggle at times, like Carolina put up 27, but other than that, the Chargers 17, Las Vegas 17, Denver 14, Tampa Bay 24. Tampa Bay better offense than this Browns team, right? Las Vegas 20. Like, this is a good Chiefs defense. So maybe a team total under for the Browns. That's something that we cashed last week. We had the same exact number against Pittsburgh. They scored 14 points. So yeah, I know I'm like team total frenzy out here, which is funny now that we think about it, because I've literally given out team totals like it's my day job. But yeah, it's another spot in which I like a team total in this spot. Titans taking on the Bengals here. Yeah, you have the Titans, who obviously maybe even want to lose this game in terms of draft pick and whatnot. Now the Bengals have a chance to make the playoffs. I think if they win this one, it's like a 5 to 10% chance of them even making it, right? So I don't envision them like really thinking that they're going to make the playoffs, but they still have something a little bit more to play for, and you're getting a bad offense in this Titans team. I do think the Bengals can kind of win this one. And overall, like, yes, the Bengals, what did they beat Dallas by? It was 7, right? 27-20. They lose to Pittsburgh, but this offense has still been cruising. Like, this Titans defense has looked good at times, has looked bad. It's like when they play a good team, they flop. When they play a bad team, they hold up. So this Bengals offense obviously is very good. So I expect them to run up some score as well. So yeah, give me the Bengals minus the 5 points in this one. I also don't mind the idea of an over. I hate to say it, maybe a team total over, but I think the Bengals just run show in this one. So yeah, I'm kind of big on them. There's definitely a strong chance that they become a final play. And overall, it's like, yeah, the Titans, they almost, if I was the Titans, I'd consider wanting to lose in a sense. You know what I mean? Just due to the fact that that's going to help their draft pick. They lost last week against Jacksonville. They scored 6 points. I feel like the Bengals should be able to take care of business today. In terms of a player prop, that probably involves a lot of running in terms of what we'd like here. Now, Tennessee's been decent against the run so far this season. Overall, right? But I do still think that there's going to be a lot of workload in the backfield there for the Bengals. So I guess you could look at Chase Brown or something like that in his rush attempts. I think it's at like 15.5, 16.5 right now. He stayed under that in many games, but overall, this should be a spot in which he gets more workload as the Bengals try and run this thing out and that type of thing. All right, Cardinals hosting the Patriots here. 6-point favorites are the Cardinals. That total's at 46.5. This is a Cardinals team that, I guess, similar to the Bengals, they're still technically not mathematically eliminated. If they win this game, their chances drastically increase of making the playoffs, but it's only to like a level of like 15% or 20, something low, right? So yeah, the Cardinals probably do care about this game, which is why they're heavy favorites, I would assume, because the Patriots are out of it. The Cardinals also, are just a better team as of right now. So I get why that spread is there. I think the Patriots can keep this one close. So this is a Cardinals team that, though they've kind of played some tough teams, like they've lost 3 straight. They were favorites in, I believe, 2 of those games. This isn't exactly, an amazing spot for them, even though they should care more. So I think they win this game, but 6 just seems like a big number. It makes sense. Like I said, it makes sense why the number's at 6, but to me, it's a little bit too much to give this New England team. So yeah, the Patriots probably don't care about this game, or they're not going to, they don't care about it as much as Arizona, but to keep this within a touchdown, less the extra point, yeah, I think that's going to be the direction I go in here. In terms of a total, I think if the Patriots keep this one close, it's most likely an under type of a game, so I am going to lean towards an under as well. And a player prop I do like is actually going to be Michael Wilson, now the number 2 wide receiver, right, for the Cardinals. I like his over in receiving yards. If we jump into outlier here, you can see, we'll go to receiving yards. You can see 3 straight weeks, and he's getting the workload, right, 4, 7, 3 in terms of his, targets. Even from this perspective, like, yeah, he's behind Trey McBride, behind Marvin Harrison, but he's number 3 in terms of that share, and like I just mentioned, the last few weeks he's gotten plenty of targets here, 4, 4, 7, 3. So for him to go out there and get 50 yards, I don't mind it. He's going to get some looks, and I do think a lot of focus is going to be on the tight end. A lot of focus is going to be on Marvin Harrison. He might be the guy that slips through the cracks. So yeah, I don't mind him from a receiving yards or reception standpoint. I probably like the yards. You could see he has a couple of spots in which he's only caught a couple balls, but he's gone deep for them. So yeah, that's definitely a spot I'd consider. Now, is he going to have the volume? His receptions line's only at 2.5, so he might not have that crazy volume. But to me, this, again, should be the guy that slips through the cracks in a sense. So I like Michael Wilson's receiving yards and receptions as well. All right, next up, this is probably the game of the day, right? Detroit taking on Buffalo. You have the 12-1 Lions. I almost said Detroit Tigers. We're not in baseball, Ev. 12-1 Lions taking on the 10-3 Bills. This has been a Bills team that's, weirdly enough, kind of struggled on the road this year. 4-3 on the road. They only have 3 losses, so all their losses have come on the road. So yeah, maybe that's like a damning spot overall. They have covered on the road in 57% of their games, which is the exact same percentage Detroit's covered at home. So I guess that gives me a little sort of solace in the fact that, yeah, I don't know if it's worthy of the psycho alert alarm again. We'll drop it again, but I like the underdog here, the Bills. This is a Detroit team that has been letting teams keep it close. And when I say letting, that Green Bay game being the first one that we saw on Thanksgiving, and then the Packers, that game's a shootout, a great game, but a shootout, obviously, and they keep it close. Like, this Bills team is no easy feat, and they're coming off of, speaking of a great game, they're coming off of that loss against LA. Like, this Bills team doesn't want to lose 2 games in a row, right? They were on the road there. Maybe they get a little bit more comfortable on the road. Like, I see them potentially even winning this game outright, which, again, that's why we can sound the psycho alert alarm, because betting against the best team in football right now doesn't seem like it's a smart strategy, but I do think that this Lions defense is getting worn down by the day. Bunch of their big names are out. Like, this is a spot in which I think that's the type of thing that's going to come back to bite them at some point. And this is one of the best offenses in the league in the Bills. Like, you look at the Bills and what they've done last 6 games here, or last 7 games, 31, 30, 30, 30, 30, 35, 42. Like, this is a hurting Detroit defense going up against one of, if not the hottest offense in the league, and they'll beat you both ways. Josh Allen's passing the ball well, but they'll also pound it down your neck, or throat. Like, I do think that this is a decent spot for the Bills. Now, all that being said, yes, I like the Bills money line. Yes, I like them plus points. If you like the Lions, no kidding. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to talk you off of it. If you're typing in the comments being like, how could you take the Bills? It's like, I understand why someone would take the Lions too. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's dumb to take the Lions or the Bills with a surefire play. This should just be an amazing game overall, right? So yeah, I'm on the Bills side of things. I think that this is a spot in which, this is the week. This is just like a team that the Lions shouldn't want to face right now. Total's at 54.5. If this becomes a shootout, yes, the Bills can hang in there, but I think that favors the Lions a little bit, right? Like, I think that defense isn't all that great. So if they're beating that Bills defense, it just means that the Bills are playing into the Lions' hands. Okay, we don't care about defense. Let's try and score more points than you. I think if the Bills win this game or keep this game close, they do have to step up and play some damn good defense, which they have a good defense. So I think I'm going to lean towards the under 54.5 as well, which even that might justify for its own psycho alert alarm, because we're taking 2 of the best offenses and taking the under. Yeah, I'm a psycho. Philadelphia taking on Pittsburgh here. Eagles 5.5-point favorites. I've seen some 6 out there as well. So which we are, I'll get to it in a second. If you are on the Eagles side of things, you're probably going to want to snag this early because I could see it moving up, right? But right now, you do have an Eagles team that is just cruising. They've won 9 straight games. They've covered in, I believe, 7 of those games. Pittsburgh also looking good. They're 7-3 in their last 10, but Pittsburgh has played the worst schedule in the entire league this year. Teams combined, their record is 67-102 against, just overall in terms of the teams that Pittsburgh has played. 32nd in terms of strength of schedule. Strength of victory, though, both these teams do jump up to the top half of the league. So yeah, they've had, when they've won, they beat some decent teams. To me, like I said, I already kind of hinted at it. I do like the Eagles. This is the team that I picked them in the Super Bowl preseason. I still, I'm loving that spot for the futures. Like the odds that we've got on that is great. Have they, gotten a little too close for comfort in some games, like that 14-point favorite spot last week where they only win the game by, was it 6 or 8 against Carolina? Sure, but I think that this team is very, very good. I know there's drama with A.J. Brown and whatnot, but I think that these things fix themselves out when you win, and this team has sure as hell been winning. So give me the Eagles minus the 5.5 points. I do give credit to the Pittsburgh defense. I don't think it's going to be a massively high-scoring game, so if anything, I'd probably take a peek at an under. I think the Eagles grind this one out on the ground and whatnot, but I am much more comfortable probably picking the Eagles side of things. And also, I like A.J. Brown in this spot overall, and I'd also consider looking at Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown. This is an important game, right? From a make the playoffs perspective and all that, no, both teams are going to be playoff teams. The Steelers should, and the Eagles have already, they're going to be a playoff team. They've already clinched a spot, whether it's 1 or 2. It's probably going to be the 2 seed there in the NFC, right? But overall, this is still a big game because it's 2 good teams. I think the Eagles, when they get in the red zone, they're going to play it safe. So Jalen Hurts for a touchdown, like if they're on the 1-yard line, they might go 3 tush pushes in a row type of thing. So yeah, I like him to score a touchdown, and also squeaky wheel gets the grease. I think there could be some A.J. Brown performance in this one as well, in all honesty. All right, Denver taking on the Colts. I don't think this, you could go either way with this one. I'll say that right off the rip. I'm going to lean towards the home team in Denver just due to the fact that the situation probably matters a lot more to them. If they lose, they drop below a 50% chance to make the playoffs. If they win, I think it's like a 90% chance. So this is a big one for them. It essentially is the same thing for the Colts. That's why I think you can go either way. I do think it means a little bit more to the Broncos, but the Colts, essentially, if they lose, they're not going to make the playoffs. And if they win, they keep their hopes alive. So yeah, obviously both teams should come into this one fairly ready to go and that type of thing. But I think the Broncos probably care a little bit more, I guess. So is that always the most sound argument and rationale? No, but they are the home team. They're laying less than a touchdown. They've been playing good football too, right? 3 straight games. They've won and covered. Now, that being said, it was Atlanta, Las Vegas, Cleveland, whatever, right? But they're a 4-2 team so far this year at home compared to the 3-4 on the Indianapolis side of things. And they've covered at home in 67% of games so far this year. So yeah, good cover team at home as well. Give me the Broncos. This is probably a messy, low-scoring game as well. You look at both of these offenses, and I really wouldn't put them in the upper echelon. Now, Denver has looked pretty damn good in the last few weeks. 38, 29, 41 points. So, sure, if you want to ride that high and tell me I'm a dummy for taking an under, I get it. But I do think that that's not necessarily like the real Denver Broncos. I think that that's those are inflated, bad defenses, that type of thing. So, I think this one goes under. We see them come back down to earth, but still stomp the Colts. So, I'll take the under as well as the Broncos. All right, last game of today's video, we got the Chargers taking on the Bucs. I think I'm going to look at the underdog here. Bucs +3, that's a key number, obviously. I do think that this is a good Chargers defense. We're late enough in the year where I can admit that, yeah, they're good, right? The offense, though, has kind of gotten stale. Remember, like, a month ago or so, they were playing pretty well, scoring some points. The last couple weeks, 19 points against the Chiefs, and then Atlanta, they scored 13 points. This is still a really good Bucs offense. Injuries and whatnot, who cares? Like, all that aside, Baker, Mike Evans back, like, this is a very, very good Bucs offense. So, yeah, if they do have their guys, if they do play and all that type of stuff, I think the Bucs can keep this one close. I also do think that they can drive up the score. Now, do we get all the way to an over spot? I think so, but it might be another, we had to drop one more on you, right? Maybe a team total spot for the Bucs. I think that they can put numbers up, and I think that I would say that they're not being respected in terms of this score because they're an offense. Is their defense all that great? I wouldn't say that, but I can give them credit. The last 3 weeks, the number 1 defense in the league. Now they played the Giants, Carolina, and Vegas. Okay, that makes sense why they've played such good defense, right? But overall, still, defense is playing better, but I just think that this is going to be a points game for them. So I'll take the 3. I'll take an over, and I'll also take a Tampa Bay team total over. I think Herbert could have a good job. We've seen a 31% production increase of quarterbacks against this Tampa Bay team this season, so Herbert could have a good game. And if they are trailing, or this game does turn, offensive in a sense, I think that Herbert could be slinging it and throwing it. So yeah, I don't mind the idea of him potentially, throwing for 250 yards, which he hasn't done in a few weeks. But I like his passing yards over. I also don't mind the idea of his pass completions or attempts. I think that he's going to have more pass attempts and completions than he has recently. And for plus money or even money right now over on MGM, you can get over 20.5 completions. So that could be a spot. I think they're not going to rely on the run, especially given the fact of all their injuries and whatnot, right? So I think Herbert kind of has to control this one. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I really don't mind that spot either. But I think the Bucs team total could be in play. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for this week's video. If you guys did enjoy, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. Feels good to be on the main channel here. Very, very excited to get the content flowing again here. If you've been with us over on the More Guy Boston Sports channel in this bad time and dark time and whatnot, yeah, we're still gonna have content over there and whatnot. We're gonna still, I keep saying whatnot. I know that you guys told me in the live stream I say that all the time and whatnot, but overall, we're still going to strategize and figure out how both channels are going to work, and we'll have some different content over there, maybe some more fun content, that type of thing, and then the pick stuff will come back over here. So yeah, FYI there. That's all I have to say, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.